In part 1, we covered the basic logic of helping weak hives, along with the most common interventions, which are feeding, adding brood, and merging hives. In part 2, we'll apply this knowledge to some common cases and discuss in general how to handle most situations. Let's start with some examples where you can do something positive. Say you did a split and fed the new hives until they seemed okay to be on their own, but then a rainy spell happened, or maybe a nectar flow ran out, and now the hives are struggling. These hives just need to be fed. Syrup alone is fine 95% of the time, but you can also feed pollen substitute as well if you like. Next up, let's say you have a hive that had some queen issues. For whatever reason, you didn't like the queen, so you replaced her. Now the hive accepted your new queen and she's laying, but the hive is weak because their brood production was low for quite a while and it's taking them a long time to build back up. In this case, you can feed the colony and give them emerging brood. In these simple cases, and many more just like them, you know what's wrong and you're sure the hive just needs help. No problem. Give them help. More food and more bees. That's almost always the answer when you have a solid sense of what's going on. Now let's consider some tougher situations that unfortunately are all too common. Say you have a hive that is limping along and dwindling in an apiary in which the other hives are doing well. Suppose further that their queen seems fine and their brood patterns are okay. Basically, something is wrong with this hive, but you don't know what it is. It's not the location because the other hives are fine, it's not the queen, and let's say that you're also sure that it's not the mites. This is just a sick colony. Although beekeeping books carry on about diagnosing illnesses, many hives have problems that we cannot diagnose. There's a huge amount that we don't know about bee biology. In this situation, the hive may die no matter what you do. So the last thing you want to do is allow whatever you do to hurt your healthy colonies. Don't merge this kind of colony with a healthy one. The merged hive will often get whatever problem the sick one has. Don't take important resources from your healthy hives that they cannot afford to lose and give them to this sort of hive. The sick hive will last longer if you give them brood, for example, but it's likely to die in the end anyway. And you've weakened your other hive such that it might become too weak to survive as well. In this situation, the only thing I usually do is feed the hive and hope for the best. Usually this means syrup, but again you can feed pollen as well if you like. The most I will do, if I have a really healthy beekeeping operation with a lot of strong hives, then I may give a hive like this one a frame of emerging brood. But that's all they get. If they're weak after that, I let them go. In this case, I add the emerging brood because I have a surplus of very large hives that can easily afford to lose the bees and not suffer any real cost. Still, a hive like this gets one chance. There is something common to many weak hive situations that we may as well cover now. A small colony in a big hive is bad. If the hive is down to just a few frames of bees, but they're still in a full super, put them into a nuke, or whatever size hive they can actually fill. This is important for their pest management because they cannot defend comb that they don't cover with bees. Things that they can normally control like wax moths can destroy a small colony in too big a super. Entrance reducers are also useful in this case to help them fight off robbers and pests trying to get in. Finally, putting them in a small nest also helps with thermoregulation. Let's consider some other cases. If you find a weak brood pattern but no obvious foul brood, then you might have a queen problem. Weak brood patterns mean patchy brood or small brood zones given to the size of the hive and the time of year. Patchy brood, by the way, can have many causes. It could be a queen problem due to her being poorly mated, or it could be a brood disease other than foul brood. You don't always know what's causing a weak brood pattern. In this case, you typically replace the queen. Always replace with a mated queen. Any other requeening method leads to a long period with no new brood production, which is quite bad for a hive. After requeening, you can then feed them and maybe give them some emerging brood. Incidentally, a weak brood pattern is not always the queen's fault, which is why replacing the queen doesn't always fix it. Basically, the workers, not the queen, control the egg-laying rate by regulating how much they feed her. So too little brood could mean the queen should be laying but isn't, or it could mean the workers are not feeding her much. There could also be a brood disease. So it's not just brood patch looks small or patchy, so the queen is bad. The reason we requeen in this case is because it could be the queen, and replacing the queen is really the only thing that's under our control here. Next up, if Varroa is causing the hive weakness, either because your treatment didn't work or you missed one, then focus on getting the mites under control before helping them in other ways. If you can't get Varroa under control, then the hive is going to die no matter what else you do for them. Feed them syrup so they don't starve and then focus on the mites. If you get a good knockdown of mites and a low wash count, then add brood. A weak hive usually doesn't have much capped brood, so oxalic acid works well in this case. Likewise, if queenlessness is the problem, then don't do much until after you actually get them queen right. If you fail to get them queen right, which can happen, then the hive is doomed no matter what you do. Putting emerging brood into a hopelessly queenless hive is pointless. In the case of starvation, such as a cold, rainy spell, then feeding is a typical remedy. Usually in such times, all the hives are suffering, so don't take bees from your stronger hives. Just feed everybody. Feeding does not have to mean sugar, by the way. You can also store some of your honey frames instead of extracting them and give these back to the bees. As long as the frames are in good shape, the bees will use them just fine. If the frame is very old, however, and the honey is heavily crystallized and quite gross looking, then feeding syrup is better. One last thing, everyone has their own opinion when it comes to issues like these. You should experiment with your beekeeping, especially when you're new, to the extent that it's financially affordable for you. You should do this until you come to a point where you've tried most everything. Once you're at that point, then you'll be confident enough to say, this is how I do it, and I feel good about it, even if other experienced beekeepers swear by other methods. Of course, you don't want to become pig-headed either. I'm still willing to try new things now, even after 25 years of beekeeping, but not nearly so much as I did when I was just getting started. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Also let your beekeeper friends know about the channel. See you next time.